All right, everybody, welcome back here to yet another week of the Patterson Report. I'm Brandon, that's Ryan, and you're seeing a third person on the screen. We finally convinced somebody to come on this show against his better judgment, I'm sure, but we are super excited to have friend of the show, the Coggin Toboggan, back. Now, before we get into it, you can catch him on Let's Go to the Phones, one of my favorite Philadelphia sports podcasts, the Coggin Toboggan blog, and as a columnist over there at Crossing Broad. So thanks so much for coming on with us, man. We're excited to have you here.
What's up, guys? Anytime. I appreciate the intro. Always good to jump on with you. This is becoming a Red October tradition. Coming on with you guys right before the playoffs start.
I was going last back time DMs, and it is. I hit you up the same month. I think 3 years in a row now.
Hey, if this is the key for the Phillies getting in the postseason every year, let's keep the tradition going here.
We're elevating it. It's a World Series title this year, right?
I agree. Yeah. We have to pull a major league. If you guys remember the Major League movie franchise, they won the AL. They won the tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. The first movie, and then the second movie, they won the AL championship. So hopefully this will be like they lost the World Series last year, and then this year we get the sequel and they actually win the World Series. That'll be nice to see.
I definitely agree. And I think, to do our part, because, last year we had one Red October special and it got us to the World Series. I think this year I got to go out and recruit even more Phillies content writers to do more of these episodes and push us over the top. I'm talking to you, Tim Kelly. I will be hitting you up soon.
You got to get Tim's the
man.
Tim's one of the best. Tim's great. Bob Wankel. You can get him. I'm sure he'd love to come on. Anthony Sanfilippo, any of the Crossing Broad guys, and Tim Kelly's great. There are a lot of good Phillies beat reporters.
I want to get absolutely hammered on here really bad. They're hysterical.
They do have a
Twitter account.
They do have a good Twitter account. I agree. They put out funny stuff.
They do awesome hype videos. That's my favorite part about anything Phillies playoff is like the Phillies media hype videos are tremendous every single time.
Yeah, they are pretty good. They do put out some good stuff. I like them. That Fransky in LA account's great.
I'd cry if either one of them came on.
That's right. The Let's Go to the Phones account, another great account in the city.
Another great shameless plug. The guy who runs that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, shout out to co-host Chris.
Yeah. Let's. Our role in Red October aside, the team did probably half the work. We did the other half. So I guess we'll talk about them for a little while. Just what is it about, this team, this group of guys that turns the city into this? Because as much as Philadelphia it's a baseball town in the fall and the summer, I wholeheartedly believe if this team had the same kind of vibes the Sixers have, you wouldn't see the same frenzied support that this Phillies team gets from Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just the immense likability of this team and the players on the team. I mean, they make a 162 game schedule, however many months it is, 6 months. They make it bearable because 6 months is a difficult time to stay invested in a team. And if you're fans of say the Padres or a team where you can tell that, they don't really like each other all that much. They don't really connect with the fans. You've got guys that are openly saying I might not be here next year. I want to be traded. And you don't get that with these Phillies. Bryce Harper, you can say whatever you want. And he is a pander. He loves to pander, but he panders in the right way. He knows exactly the right buttons to push. It seems like everyone on this roster just enjoys playing for one another. They enjoy playing for Topper, and it just makes it just makes the experience all that much better because you're so invested in these guys and they're invested in everything that it just like, it's a couple years ago, I would have been like, why are they celebrating this much when they, clinched the wild card? They didn't win the NL East. They clinched the top wild card. But with these guys, it's like, all right, like they had a terrible start to the year. I think they went with like 67 and 30 something in the last stretch. And it's just like, you're happy that these guys got over the hump and now the real work is here with another postseason, hopefully a deep postseason run.
I think you're right with those numbers. I want to say, because I think Schwarber took over the leadoff spot the first week of June. And from that point on, it was a different team. And it's unorthodox. We'll talk about it every season. And I'm sure every season we'll start with a new leadoff guy before we give in and realize it has to be Schwarber. But you're right. The team started slow. The vibes were bad. I mean, obviously Bryce was out. You lose Reese, which was tough. And then, you start getting guys back. I mean, what Bryce Harper's done this season coming off of, elbow surgery is nothing short of incredible. 20 home runs, 70 RBIs. But I think you're right. It's the attitude of these guys. Like I'm not going to bring anybody up. I've seen people on, Twitter complaining about, you clinched the wild card. Why are you celebrating? Why are you doing this? I'd rather my team be slightly cringy and together and enjoy each other's company and party together than, you're right, than have San Diego, where I'm sure you saw their I forget who, it was someone reported on it, and they said if San Diego had the same team chemistry the Phillies have, they're a 100-win team.
Oh,
so
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it does play out on the field if you do stuff together off the field.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just with these guys, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even describe the celebration as cringy because that's just them. They did it last year. They love the party. It's just they know that it's, I think I mentioned this before, but I don't think people realize just how long it is. I mean, 162 games. That is a long goddamn season. And when you clinch a wild card, you get into the postseason. I mean, go nuts, have fun. They didn't, and I'll also give them credit for not pulling their typical, September swoon to sort of back into the postseason. They're coming in just like guns blazing into another postseason run here. So yeah, I mean, party it up, man. Like, have a great night. It's not a forced celebration either. You can tell that they all like each other on the team. That, it's a great clubhouse to be in. That, a lot of these guys just support each other. They just, dig each other's vibe. Like it's just a fun environment to be in. And it's a fun environment to watch a team, succeed in. So I'm happy for them. It's going to be an awesome October, hopefully. And God, we'll see how this all plays out.
Yeah, it's while we're talking about partying, because we'll get into some actual baseball in a second, but I've been curious to hear, let's say you can put together a group of four, yourself included, to go hit Philly for a Friday night. Oh. Which three Phillies are you bringing with you?
Well, I haven't heard your co-host say anything yet, so why don't you answer first? I think I have my three guys off the bat. But let's hear what you have to say.
Everyone knows Ryan's a party animal, so
I'm a party animal for sure. I mean,
you look like it.
I mean, you gotta take Schwarber, right? Like Schwarber's like he feels like the number one draft pick choice here. Like I would want to drink a beer with Kyle Schwarber and party in Philly. And then I feel like Bryson Stott's an underrated choice.
I feel like that is underrated. Yeah, that's an interesting choice. Kind of a low-spoken guy, but yeah, I think you get a couple in him, and he'd open up.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm going with.
And you kind of need that guy. He's the guy that keeps it from getting kicked out of the function too early.
True. But he'd also probably be the guy like being like, yeah, you should throw that shot glass against the wall. Like he'd be whispering that to you at the bar.
He'd encourage it. You know who would audibly encourage it? Brandon Marsh. He feels like that kind of guy.
That's another good.
And then the team's got a party sense to it. The party animals.
That's another.
And then I go with
another great.
I feel like this is a tough one.
I think you're missing one huge guy right now.
I'm slumping. Oh my god.
I think I know who your buddy's talking. Not an everyday guy.
No, but I mean, just a vibe injection.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe injection.
He's a backup. He's a backup.
It's a backup backstop, if you will.
That's right.
Oh, Garrett Stubbs. Oh my god.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. I saw that interview. Wasn't he in like overalls yesterday? Like just the overalls,
immediately.
nothing below them.
No, immediate overalls, like underneath his jersey, quick.
Yeah, he said he woke up. And I think a reporter asked him, like, how you feeling when he woke up yesterday? And he's like, I felt great because I was probably still hammered from the night before. And then he goes out and he plays that night, hits a 3-run home run, first of the year. It's like, hey, man, maybe that's the key. Maybe he needs to get like absolutely obliterated the night before to play well the next day. Or maybe he just needs to face.
I forget who said it, but one of the accounts I follow said the Garrett Stubbs Tequila Sweats game is going to be his Jordan flu game.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a solid list right there. Trying to think of like, I think Ranger Suarez would be an interesting pick. He feels like he could tell a couple stories and would be in it for the long haul. I think he'd be an interesting choice, an interesting guy to go out and drink with. And if you're going to include the whole Phillies organization as a whole, then I mean, Kruk would be on there for me.
Absolutely.
I would love to hang out with
200%.
Kruk and have a beer with Kruk. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll include media members. We can bring Kruk back.
Yeah, because I don't think any other media member, maybe T-Mac, I don't know. He seems like an affable enough guy, but I'll leave Ruben Amaro and Ben Davis they can drive me to wherever and pick me up later. That's fine. That'll be about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to spend any unnecessary amount of time with them. So you got Ranger, you got Kruk. You're still missing the third guy to round out the
another
force.
guy. Let's see. Now, I think Bohm would be. I think he'd be a good choice. I think he'd be sort of a fun guy to hang out with, just to sort of pick his brain, see what he really thinks. I mean, talk about a guy that everyone was sort of traveling. Everyone was ready to throw him to the wolves last year after that. I fucking hate this place game.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I said that Harper was a panderer, Harper was probably in his ear after that game, was like, this is all over the place. You have to address it and you have to own up to it, or this fan base is going to eat you alive. And to his credit, he did.
Yeah.
And now everyone loves Alec Bohm. Yeah. So it's like, I'd love to sort of pick his brain and see, like, what were you thinking after that day? Who sort of steered you in the right direction? Because, that could have gone one of two ways. It could have gone the way that it went, and then it could have gone with the typical, like, I just the emotions got the best of me, and then there were more questions, and he could have gotten annoyed, and it could have steamrolled, and that would have been the end of Alec Bohm because the fan base would have gotten all over him. As much as Phillies fans and Philadelphia fans are great, like, yeah, we can't get all over players, and sometimes it'll fuck them up. Can I swear on here? Should I not swear? Should I not?
Yeah. No, you're good. It's a free country. You're
good. There we go. Yeah, I'd like to talk with him. I think he'd be fun to have a couple beers with and just sort of pick his brain and see how he really feels about the city and the fan base. I think that's good. Suarez, Kruk, Bohm. If Schwarber and Stott and Stubbs are already off the table, that would be my
guy. Man, you guys aren't leaving me with. I gotta get creative here to find my crew at this point. There's a couple I'm surprised that didn't come up. Jose Alvarado, I would love to go out with. He just feels like the guy who, like, you need to keep an eye on at all times. Like, he's making like towel chickens in the dugout on national TV. So, like, he's the liability of the crew, which every group needs one to kind of keep the night fun. Nick Castellanos, I was surprised didn't get chosen. He's always at the center of the action in those dugout, those dugout celebrations. Plus, let's say we want to leave the bar, go to like a nightclub or something. You need like that sex appeal guy to get you through the door. We got Nick.
Right, he'd be unbuttoning your shirts for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd need a couple months to kind of get unbuttoned shirt ready, but if for Nick, I'd find a way.
There you go.
And then one that I'm going to take a different approach to is JT Realmuto. He's somebody who I know has some really ridiculous opinions and thoughts and conspiracies that after 5 or 6 beers, I need to hear what goes on in that noggin of his. Like, I need to hear what he doesn't believe is real. So I'm picturing like 2 a.m., couple slices of pizza, and him yelling at me about how the moon landing was fake.
I don't know if Real Muto's been up till 2 a.m. in the last 10 years. He seems like a guy that would be going home early. Yeah, he'd be going home early. He's got church in the morning or something, and I don't know if he'd be interesting though. I think he seems like a great guy. They all seem like great guys. I mean, that's the great thing about this team. It's just the roster is so likable. Like, there's nobody on this roster that, like, there were definitely guys in the past, you know, that you're like, I don't like this guy one bit. But like, I can't think of any
Herrera.
Yeah, exactly who I was thinking of. But like, I can't think of any of these guys. You know, you don't even have that typical, you know, bench player that, you know, fucks up and Philadelphia, you know, turns on immediately. I mean, I guess it was kind of Rodolfo Castro or whatever his name is, but you know, that didn't last very long. Nobody cares about him. No, so it's just like there's nobody on this team that nobody dislikes. You know, I like everybody on this team. It's hard to dislike them. I mean, they're just very likable guys. It's a likable team.
Ironically, the only guy I wouldn't invite out for a night in Philly would be Bryce Harper, and it's not anything against him, but he doesn't drink, so you don't need that as, you know, part of the energy.
Yeah, he'd be teetotaling the entire time, and you know, he'd kind of bring everything down. So, does he not drink at all? Is he just?
I don't believe so. If you were gonna drink, that'd be the time to drink. No.
Yeah, that's a good, because I don't think I've ever, you know, when you mentioned that, I don't think I've ever seen him in any of like the locker room videos, you know, or like any live of him like pounding champagne or getting stuff poured on him, or poured on him. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that's a good list. It's not bad.
No, I think we'd all have a pretty good night out on the town, but the only way that's going to happen is if they keep winning series and Brandon Marsh keeps having a reason to go to Xfinity Live and hop on the mechanical bull. So
that was pretty cool.
What is the best path forward so that we get at least 3 or 4 more, you know, celebration videos of either, you know, the people in the streets celebrating or our Phillies celebrating in the locker room? How do we get there?
Well, I think, isn't it kind of locked in? I haven't really looked at it too much since they clinched it. I think it's pretty much written in the stars that they're going to play the Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah, the Cubs are 2 games back now with almost no time to make it up.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're going to play the Diamondbacks. I believe that they won the season series against the Diamondbacks this year. Zach Gallen, you know, I don't know if it's going to line up where he can pitch game 1.
That's the way it looks right now. If they close this out on schedule, he and Merrill, we have to go through him and Merrill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would have rather have played of any of the 3, of any of the Diamondbacks, and we talked about this a little on Let's Go to the Phones this week, but of the 3, the Cubs, Diamondbacks, Marlins, I would have preferred to have played the Cubs. Nobody on that Cubs team really scares me all that much. I think their best attribute is that they have a lot of veterans, that, you know, experienced guys that have been in the postseason before. I didn't want to play the Marlins. You know, I think they were the only team that the Phillies had a losing record against of those.
We never play well against them.
No, and I mean, they have so many really good left-handed pitchers on that team that I could see like that typical, you know, one run game where the Philly, you look up and the Phillies have like 3 hits, you know, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? The Diamondbacks, I guess, yeah, I mean, they were the team that's like, I guess I don't mind playing them. Like nothing offensively really stands out to me. Gallen, I guess, is a good pitcher. I don't really know a whole lot about their second, who would start game 2. I don't know how the Phillies have fared against him. I know Gallen has had some success against the Phillies this season. But I don't know. I mean, anything can happen in these 3-game series. I mean, it scares me to death to think that they are going to have to play the Diamondbacks. But they're going to be at home. It's a bunch of young guys. And what you really can't account for is that, this Phillies team has so much experience. They've all been to the postseason at this point. Basically the same team as it was last year, plus Trey Turner. And it's Diamondbacks are young. I don't know if they've, playing in Arizona is a lot different than playing in front of Philadelphia fans in October. I mean, look at the teams last year. You always say like, oh yeah, you always want to play against your home fans, but look at what happened last year. I mean, the Phillies fans they thrust themselves upon the opposing teams. I mean, it rattled the Braves. The Padres had no Strider. Yeah, the Strider. I mean, that was so silly what he said. But I don't know. I think the Diamondbacks, man, they better have their earmuffs on, because it's going to be a wild stadium next week, and it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wanted to, Ryan, you mentioned in the part where Spencer Strider said he'd rather play in front of.
I was going to bring that up with the video that came out recently. It was like, what's your hot take? And it's like, I don't think there should be fans at the stadium. Yeah, good luck, buddy. Like,
I'm sure he believes that, because he's going to get verbally assaulted for 4 hours.
What a weird thing to say. Like, was he saying it like in jest? Was he trying to be like funny, satirical? I don't get it. It's just was it a recent video? Like, I didn't bother.
It was COVID, right? Like
it was an older. It was like the season back from COVID. It was kind of like, we like playing in front of no fans. You could focus, whatever. But I mean, it was. I'm glad they put it out now, because that's gonna when he comes to Philly. I mean, he's gonna be the focus of every single jeer, boo, double bird, whatever we can throw at him.
Absolutely. I mean, if the Phillies do get past the Diamondbacks or whoever they play in the wild card round, that Braves series is going to be the death of me, because that Braves team is so good. That lineup is unbelievable. I can't even think of like the jitters I'm going to have watching Acuna, come up to the plate in a big spot against, say Aaron Nola or Sir Anthony Dominguez, and you're just like, this is not going to end well. I like that the Phillies have, they definitely are in the Braves' head somewhat. I think it was very, very important that they won that last series against the Braves, just to sort of put that little inkling, into their heads that like, hey, you're not going to beat us every series this year. The Phillies are coming in white hot. The Braves are kind of, say what you will, but they haven't had the best September. No. So still, I mean, that their team is so good. That lineup is unbelievable. Top to bottom, it's so good.
There's a chance we're going to be looking at meaningful October baseball in the 7th or 8th inning, and we're hoping that Jeff Hoffman can hold off Ronald Acuna Jr. And if you told me in August, in July, that's where we'd be, I'd be shitting myself. But I have a weird amount of confidence in these weird bullpen guys. Ryan Kerkeren, call me crazy. I'd let it ride in the playoffs. This stuff is crazy good. Jeff Hoffman, all of a sudden, somewhat reliable, probably more so than Sir Anthony. Like, it's going to be a David and Goliath series, though. I look at it the same way you do. But,
it was last year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, it's shaping up to be the same thing, where the Braves are going to have all this off time. They're going to theoretically have the advantage, because they're going to be able to line up their rotation better. They'll be well rested, but there is something to be said with, just if you can stay hot, if you come in hot and you're coming in against a team that hasn't played in a week. I know they said that they're doing these stupid simulated games or whatever, but
whatever.
That's not going to, I don't think that's going to do a whole lot. I really don't. It's going to be close. I still don't. I think the Phillies can win. Do I want to say they're going to beat the Braves? I don't know. They definitely can. I think it's going to be a really close series either way. But man, just the Braves, and you see what Strider and Fried have done against the Phillies this season. It's like, it's hard, you know. But
It
then,
is.
you know, like you said, the Phillies have a lot of experience. You potentially have Suarez in the bullpen, where he's shown that, you know, I think he likes playing or he likes pitching in big spots. I think he kind of thrives off the pressure. You saw that in the last postseason. You could potentially have him as a long man if something's not going right with Nola, or, you know, Sanchez, if he's going to be your game 3 starter or whatever. Yeah, I mean, look, this lineup can hit. If they can keep scoring 6 runs a game, 6-7 runs a game, I mean, I think it'll be moot. We'll see. And again, that 3-game series freaks me out. You know, who knows what the hell can happen?
Yeah,
Diamondbacks could be the next Phillies.
We were the beneficiary of that last year. I mean, no one gave us a chance in hell against St. Louis because of the 3-game series. Well, you know, and I want to echo your sentiment about the Braves. I think the only way we win the Braves series is the same way we won it last year. I think you got to split in Atlanta and don't let them get out of Philly. I don't want to try and clinch that series in Atlanta. So you split one of the first 2 and then just put it to bed here and just hope for the best. But Ryan, I wanted to get your opinion. We talked a little bit about it just now, but what would your rotation be if you're a topper? You know, you're probably going to go three stars and a long man, maybe, or you do another thing like last year where you piggyback 2 guys as kind of a 4th starter. Like, how would you set that up?
Oh man, it's struggled a lot because I thought we had Lorenzen after, you know, that Jemmy pitched however long ago, and now it's long gone. So like, if you were to ask me then, it would be a way different answer than I would have gave, or that I'm going to give right now. But I think we just got to go 3 deep. We just got to go Ranger, Nola, and Wheeler, and just, you know, pitch out of the bullpen from there. Honestly, I trust those 3 guys the most. I know trusting Aaron Nola feels like a death wish at this point, but you have to put the ball in his hands. So
I'm kind of with you. The only thing I would change, and I love Ranger Suarez. I'm a huge Ranger supporter. Yeah. I kind of agree with Coggin over there about he thrives in the big moments, and if someone's got to be a starter that gets thrown into the pen, I feel better about him than I do asking Sanchez to pitch out of the pen or anybody else.
Were you asking about the wild card series?
I was just asking if you're the set of rotation like through the playoff. So like who's going to be which starting?
I agree with you. If
for the wild card, you're right, 100%.
If whoever forces a game 3, give the ball to Ranger in game 3. But then you could put him in the bullpen. He could go back and forth. He's done it. Yeah,
I kind of would like to see Ranger as if I would still like to see Ranger as the 3rd starter. I would. I wouldn't mind sort of him being that like long man out of the bullpen. I think you could also put Sanchez in that role. I think he's done enough. I don't want Taijuan Walker anywhere near starting any of these games in the postseason. He's the pitcher I trust the least out of anyone going right now. I mean, he's just doing his typical, you know, he had a pretty decent first half and then has imploded in the second half, which has been his career, the entirety of his career. So yeah, keep him far away. You know, Sanchez maybe is your long man. I would definitely rather see Suarez pitch in a game 3 than I would Sanchez. But Sanchez has been great. So you definitely put him in the bullpen. He could eat up some innings for you. And, yeah, I think you're pretty solid up and down there.
Yeah, I feel good about our pitching, starting pitcher-wise. The bullpen's going to be a matter of, you know, who gets hot and if they can get hot. I mean, if Sir Anthony finds his form, Alvarado I trust with my life. Kimbrel, if he becomes first half Kimbrel. I mean, it's a big what if. This bullpen's either going to be lights out or it's going to be shaky up and down. And we're gonna find out. But before we wrap this up, there's one question that a lot of, I don't want to say casual because we all love the guy, but a lot of like social media, I guess I'll say, Phillies fans have been asking, and it's when can we get Rhys Hoskins back, and can we get him in the lineup? And I love Rhys Hoskins. I think he's great for the team, great for the city. He's been here since the beginning, all that good stuff. I firmly think he's the odd man out right now, and there's no place for him on this postseason roster. I want him in the dugout. I want him with the guys, but I just don't see why you would upset the apple cart for a guy who might not even be close to 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think Topper said today basically that, like, if he could come back, it would be in the World Series if they make it that far. If they do make it that far and he's healthy enough, I think it would be – I kind of think it would be a big lift for the team for him to be in a pinch-hitting role only.
Yeah.
He can't be in the field. No, he can't be in the lineup. I don't mind him as a left-handed bat. A right-handed bat coming off the bench. You know, he could potentially give you like a big boost. The team loves him. Worked his ass off, to get back to this spot. So, if it's a matter of like him or I don't know, don't they expand the rosters for the World Series? Don't they? Do they? I don't know whatever that rule is, but yeah, if you could find a way to get him here, because he's not gonna. You're not gonna do too much finagling with your lineup either way. I mean, you're not going to have like Sosa playing a whole lot. You obviously want to keep Pash, but like a guy like Sosa, like, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. It depends on what,
you probably bump Castro first, I would think, before.
Oh,
Sosa.
Yeah. Well, is he even going to make the postseason roster? Like,
not sure.
That guy's worthless and you don't need him. I'd much rather have Rhys Hoskins in the dugout, being available as a pinch hitter than having Castro anywhere near this postseason roster. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't think I've ever seen him do anything of any value for the Phillies this season. And I've watched a lot of games. So, if you can have Hoskins in there, I could a huge pinch hit. I mean, how awesome would that be? You're right? Yeah.
Dinger, pitch hit Dinger in a clutch spot.
Exactly.
Pitch hitting for like Marsh against the lefty or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. You need a power right-handed hitter off the bench in a big spot. Why not? It'd be a good story. You're not going to get a whole lot from these bench guys anyway. You're not going to depend on them. So hell with it. Just get him in there. Let's get to the World Series first before we start talking too much about that.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but that bat spike would destroy Citizens Bank Park. I mean, if he hit a pinch hit home run at a big moment in the World Series, they would need to rebuild the stadium.
They would have to relocate the Sunday Eagles game to another spot. That would be broken too. Like they break them both.
You're right.
It really would be. Just what a moment that would be. That would be absolutely insane. And I don't know.
Anytime home run when he gets up. I'll be
there.
Betting that home run. You got to do it for the vibes, right?
Absolutely.
You got to manifest it.
Speak it into existence.
Yes. Well, hopefully these are all problems that we get to have, and maybe we can talk about it in a Phillies World Series special. But for the time being, I just wanted to thank you again, man, for coming on. Everybody listening, make sure you can check Coggin out at Coggin Toboggan on Twitter, at the Let's Go to the Phones page on Twitter, and also as a columnist over on Crossing Broad. So there's no excuse not to check the content out. This man is everywhere at the same time. Thank you so much for coming on, man. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, always fun, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. Always fun talking to Phillies.
No problem. And everybody else, we will see you next week, hopefully coming off of a triumphant Game 1.